I was in one prison. We had 2,000 inmates, 800 plus, I think it was 890 or 70 or whatever it was, had life sentences. Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here to review a movie called Shot Caller. But before I get started, you know what I always say, please check us out on Patreon and on YouTube. So let me get right into this movie, and obviously if there's going to be an expert on this movie, it's me. Or maybe not. You know, I thought about this movie while it's going on, and as much as I know about gangs in prison, and I know a lot, and we're going to get into that now, whether it's the Bloods, Crips, GD, DC Boys, could be the Norteños, Sereñas, Aztecas, MAs, or it could be Dirty White Boys, Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Nation, Aryan Circle, all of those gangs, even, Latin Kings and the Hells Angels for motorcycle gangs and a whole bunch of other crap that goes on in prison. And the gangs are all over the place in prison. That's what prison is a bunch of gangs. Even, I guess, the mob, if you want to call them a bunch of gangs. I guess we were, and that's kind of weird that I think like that now. But anyway, I watched a movie called Shot Caller. And let me give you the premise of the movie first. The premise of the movie, Shot Caller, is this guy. He's a banker or a Wall Street kind of guy, and he runs a red light, and he kills his best friend in the accident. He unintentionally runs the red light, so he ends up getting 16 months in prison. He comes up with a blood alcohol level of 1.0, which is right at the legal limit, and he ends up going to prison for 16 months after he does this. Now that's realistic. It really is. Well, the next thing that happens in this movie is he has to stand up for himself. And here's where I had my issues with this whole entire show. But anyway, we're going to get into the show anyway. He ends up having to join a white supremacist gang. First, before how he joins the white supremacist gang, he gets picked on by a black guy and he sticks up for himself, and a white supremacist in the place sees him and thinks he's a cool guy, so kind of brings him in, and he wants to give him protection in the place if he smuggles heroin and ends up killing a snitch that's in the gang. Well, let me tell you where I have my issues with that part of the show. First of all, the movie was pretty good. It kept my attention. Obviously a prison movie, and I know what's false and what's not, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit. But here's a guy who goes away for a DUI, homicide. He's not going to go to a hardened prison like that. He's not. He's going to go to what we used to call a camp, a low. A bunch of doctors, lawyers, and judges, and people like that who made stupid mistakes, and they did tax evasion. They got 3 months and 6 months and 16 months, that kind of stuff. So he's not going to be in that place where they have those hardened gang members and those guys that I was at. Now, if you went to a maximum security prison, that's a whole nother animal, because that's where the crap happens, and which he ends up going to. But anyway, he gets protection from these guys, and he's got to smuggle heroin. How do you think he did that? Obviously, we all know that. So anyway, he smuggles the drugs. He's in the prison, kills somebody. Doesn't even get caught with that one. He ends up protecting a Sereño gang member, or protecting. He kills somebody, and it's on tape. So now he gets sentenced to 9 years. So now they send him to a tougher prison. They send him to Corcoran. Corcoran is a tough prison in California. The show is based out of California, number one. Well, at first, looking at this, so much that was unrealistic about this is, obviously, the tattoos and all that, and how you get tattoos and all that, and how they talk, how there is splitting up in prison, It really pisses me off because, the system says, oh, we don't promote racism, or we don't promote segregation, we're going to put people together. First of all, you can't do that in prison. You just can't do that. It's not going to happen. People aren't going to accept it. It just won't happen. It's just not going to happen. I can tell you that now. In my prison, we had a white TV room, a black TV room, a Hispanic TV room, and a general sports TV room. That's just the rooms we had, and that's the way it's going to be. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff you have in penitentiaries more than anything. In a camp, You don't get that. You don't get the segregation feeling. You don't get the gangs like that. You can't get to a camp if you're a hardened criminal. You know, wow, that making me look like a bad guy. I guess I was considered a hardened criminal, or a tough guy, or street guy, or whatever you want to call me. And you know, it's not about being a tough guy. Because I tell people all the time, listen to me. You know what saved me in prison? It wasn't my muscles. You know, it wasn't fighting skills. It was here. It was avoiding problems. It wasn't looking for problems. That's number one. But let me get back to the movie for a second, because the movie kept my attention. I got to give you that, so it's worth a watch. It's called Shot Caller. And so here's this guy. He was a regular family man, a wife and a kid. He goes to prison. He ends up killing somebody in prison. And you know, that I talk about in the higher level prisons, absolutely. You know, one of the reasons I started my program, the Reality Check program, was because young kids come to prison and they're sucked into a gang. And there's nothing, I hate to say nothing, but it's really hard for them not to. Because if you're a young black kid who knows what your crime is, and especially if you're a snitch and you want to try to fit in because they don't know your paperwork or whatever it is like that, you need acceptance. And I don't care who you are, all these tough guys that go to prison at a young age, they're really not tough guys. They haven't met real criminals and real tough guys and people who are never getting out. I told you, I was in one prison. We had 2,000 inmates, 800 plus, I think it was 890 or 70 or whatever it was, had life sentences. Think of that. 807 had what they call letters on their jacket. So those guys are never getting out. You know, those are the people I'm scared of. Those are the people who have nothing to lose ever. And those are the dangerous people. And don't think I didn't watch out for them every minute of every day. And I did. So anyway, in this Shot Caller, the guy's really sucked into the gang, and he gets 9 years. So he is getting out. And I thought about that a lot too. Here's Larry Lawton, who went to prison. I had 4 12-year sentences. I had a date. That's called having a date. So I knew I was getting out. Don't get me wrong. When I first went in, I didn't know if I was even going to survive this prison, because it's a tough place, especially maximum security prisons. And I was sent to Atlanta, USP Atlanta, United States Penitentiary, one of the worst prisons in the country at the time. Doing what I did, I had a date. So I used to always know that. And I worried about guys who didn't have a date, because those are the guys that are going to either be jealous of you because you have new sneakers, or maybe you get money on your commissary, or you're happy some days, you're doing acid or doing whatever the hell you're doing in prison, and they're jealous for some reason. They're psychopaths to begin with. No, they will fuck you up. They will kill you. They'll do something. I've seen it 1,000 times, not 1,000, but I don't know, a ton of times. It was crazy in there. But anyway, in this case, this guy's still got a date. He got a 16-month sentence to start, and then he gets 9 years. So what did he get? 11 years in prison? Not even? Under what I got? Now he's those big white supremacist. He turns out to be this big white supremacist. You know, he really gets sucked into the gang. That aspect, like I said, really made me think and made my brain start thinking back to kids that I saw get sucked into the gangs. And I used to even tell them, I said, man, come on, kid, what the fuck you doing? But they'd be running with whether it's the Aryan Circle, Aryan Nation, the dirty white boys. If they're a white guy, I'd see a black kid. I was a kid in one prison I was in, Jessup, we had machines. So we would work the machines, and I'd see the kid. And I see them courting these kids. I see gang leaders court the kids. I see the gangs court the kids. I see in the units, in the TV rooms, or on the yard or somewhere like that. And if they see you got some moxie, if you got a balls, you want to stick up for yourself, they will suck you into that gang. And that's pretty much true what happened to this guy. Again, if it was at a higher level prison. But here's this kid. Oh, kid, man. He had a wife and kid. And he would have been getting visits. He would have been more connected to his family. But he did get in trouble. He did end up stabbing first of all, he's not going to kill somebody in a camp, if it was a real camp, and he's have to kill a snitch in the gang. That was so out of my realm of real stuff that I saw. So that kind of put me off in a little bit. But again, like I told you, it's worth watching. It's a really worth watching show. So anyway, getting back to the show, he ends up doing his time and he gets out of prison. But when he gets out of prison, the head guy at Corcoran, who's the big boss of the white supremacist gang, says, listen, you leave prison, you're still in the gang. And again, that is true. It is true to a degree, but like guys like me who were connected, you do your time, you didn't snitch, you can get out, you can kind of go your own way, and they pretty much leave you alone. Some of them even respect you, and that's what happened to me. So anyway, this guy gets out, and he's feared because they threaten his family. I get that. That does happen. And, now he's supposed to do a deal. He's supposed to do a gun run. And this head white supremacist in the joint sends a guy over to his house with another kid, another veteran. He was a veteran. It made me like the movie a little bit because the guy didn't want to be in a gang, but he wanted to be in a gang, wanted to be accepted. And I understand that from the military aspect. Because, people in the military are used to cohesive. They're used to a group. They're used to camaraderie. They're used to brotherhood, if you want to call it that. And that's what happened there. Well, that guy didn't really want to be in the gang, and he ends up telling this guy. Well, anyway, it ends up being the guy that they put with this guy. His name is Jacob, and they called him Money. He ends up being a snitch as well. And, when I saw that, I laughed. I said, you know what? That's so true. There's so many snitches in this world right now that obviously being a criminal in today's world is pretty. That old saying I talk about a lot: 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. I know I don't promote anything. I'm telling you, guys used to write that on their neck in a tattoo. They used to write 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. Anyway, going on to the movie. So now he's got to do a gun deal. So he's gonna have to do this gun deal. There's a little interaction in this show with the guy with his wife and his kid, and you don't want to meet him because while he was in prison for the long stretch again, which wasn't long in my eyes, he had to, he wrote a letter to his wife. He don't want to see her and all that. And she's all crying. That's just the woman drama in movies it is what it is. I'm not into that kind of stuff, but some people are, and that's cool. But, when they talked about how, he had this life and he got tatted up and all that kind of stuff, and I'm thinking about my friend. I'm going to be doing a podcast, and I'm going to be interviewing Paul Tellini. Paul Tellini is one of my good friends, and I think he was in for 28 years. 28, he got a 30-year sentence. He did 28 years. Now, that's a long stretch. He went in 1989, Paulie, and he got out, oh man, I don't know what year he got out. 89, 99, 2009. It was about 2017, 16, 17, something like that. And Paulie did a long stretch. Him and I did the legal. That's going to be a great podcast we're going to put up here on YouTube too. But anyway, here I am, always off track. Anyway, getting into the movie, this guy has to do this gun deal, and he ends up doing the gun deal, but he ends up tipping off the police. Because since the head of the supremacist gang threatened to kill his family, he knows he's got to kill that guy. This was pretty cool. The way the movie was set up was pretty cool too. I did like that. Like I said, this movie caught my attention. So I'm telling you, it's worth the watch already before I'm even ending this review. But anyway, here he is. Yeah, am I a spoiler? Nah, because, I often think about that when I do these reviews. Am I going to be a spoiler? I'm not going to be a spoiler because if you're going to want to watch the movie, it's got so much intricacies. And I don't get into the intricacies that much. I get into my life in prison, like in this movie, and what it relates to, and suitcasing stuff, and all the stuff that goes on. And as you say, I never forget. So, obviously, I never forget the prison. Obviously, in this case, it was pretty kind of wild because he ends up telling the cop about the gun run. But on the way to the gun run, I give him a lot of credit if you want to talk about character credit. He saves the guy. He saves the young kid, veteran, who really doesn't want to be in the gang. He comes out and tells him privately, really don't want to be in this because he's supposedly like a big shot now because he was number 2 of the gang, this guy Jacob, or Money, at the Wall Street guy. So anyway, he goes and he throws the guy out of the truck. They do the gun run. They all get busted. Obviously, they get busted. Well, he knows he's going back to Corcoran, and he knows he's got to kill this guy. So what does he do? He suitcases a key. He suitcases a key, a handcuff key. Again, I'm going to do it online sometime. I'm going to get a pair of handcuffs and show you how to get out of them. So anyway, he gets out of his handcuffs, and there's a brutal fight. Now, you got to remember this. Also in the prison system, the guard, one of the guards watching, he's in on him. He's either a white supremacist or he's getting big money to do it. So he's one of them. He's bought by the white supremacist gang. So now what they do is they have a brutal fight in the cage, they call them, where the hole is. That's how it works in prison. They go out to the hole or the cage. Remember I was telling you, and that was very realistic. They have wreck cages. Again, I love it. They're going to give me wreck. Hey, Lawton, you get wrecked today. When you're in the hole and they give you wreck, you are in a dog cage. Listen to what I'm telling you. You're in a dog cage. It's fucking crazy. It's just what it is. Anyway, getting back to the movie, they have a brutal fight. And he ends up, and then when the fight's over, he tells that guard, I'm the boss now. You tell him that I was attacked, that I was in self-defense, and now you're working for us. That's kind of the end of the movie. And the end of the movie, they show the kid wrote a letter that he forgave his dad. But now this guy's in life. And the only thing I got out of that part of this show was, what would you do for your kids? I'm getting older. All you guys know that. But I'm young at heart, so I don't think I'm fucking going anywhere, any of you guys. For real, I love my kids. And if it meant my life to my kids, I would give up my life. And I mean that. I mean, I'm at that point in my life, I'm near the fucking end anyway. In some way or another. Remember, I didn't eat right for 12 fucking years. I was abused, a lot of things. I got a bad back or this, whatever the fuck I talk about. But my point is, what would you do for your kids? Would you, how much would you save your kids? And obviously, I would do a lot of it. But thinking about shot call. People are going to laugh about my accent. Don't fucking laugh about my accent. But anyway, guys, the movie was pretty good. I'm going to give it I should start rating movies. I'll become another Siskel and Ebert. You kids don't even know who that is. There's movie reviewers in my time. Anyway, I should give this movie, I'm going to give it 3 stars. We're going to do a 5-star system. I'm going to give it 3 stars. And the reason I'm going to give it 3 stars is because, one, I like prison movies. Some of the stuff inside looked good. It would never happen that way because you wouldn't go to a place like that and there would be snitches. There'd be people know what's going on before someone was killed like that. They had too many murders happen for stupid stuff and quick. That wasn't realistic. Some of the actors, I give them all credit. Acting was great in that movie. It really was kind of realistic in its own way. I've seen some gang members that, I'm going to be doing the podcast, like I said, I'm doing. And in the podcast, I'm going to bring from gang members. I'm going to bring Tellini into prison. I'm going to bring a plastic surgeon who saved a person's life by giving her fake tits. That's going to be a funny one. It's a good friend of mine. So I'm going to have a lot of fun with the podcast and putting the podcast up here on YouTube. So I think you guys will like that. You can pick and choose what you want. I'm starting to get more and more comfortable with this, and I know I want to say I appreciate to everybody out there. So Shot Callers gets a 3-star from Larry, and we're going to keep that going. Storyline, a little bit too long. The movie was a little bit too long to me, a little bit too unrealistic in real life. Things wouldn't happen as much. The guy wouldn't, the guy's a pretty smart guy. You got all that kind of money, and yes, you made your mistake. You had a DUI. Yes, you went to jail, and this is all realistic. But are you really going to fucking, need protection? Are you that much of a pussy that you need protection in that gang? Take a beating. Take a fucking beating, man. I fought many people in my life. Ba, 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 bam! My son likes when I do that. Ba, 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 bam! Ba, 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 bam, 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 bam. I know I'm fucking nuts today. No, I'm having a good day. You guys, it makes me feel good to do stuff with you guys. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna give it a 3 stars. Check it out. A little too long, but you will like. Some people are gonna like the movie anyway. Shot Caller. Let me know what you think of Shot Caller. And I love to answer your comments because I will be answering these comments and seeing what you guys think of this movie. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Please make good choices. Don't think prison's any fucking glorious thing because it's not. It's the worst place I've ever lived, ever been. There's nothing positive about it. Our prison system's broke. I'm going to be doing some videos on that as well. And I'm going to be actually comparing prisons. I'm going to be comparing the United States prison to, I'm going to go a German prison and a Norway prison. I have a guy on my Discord already looking for a German prison guy who's been there to actually talk to. So anybody have a great day. Really, please. Stay safe, stay strong. Listen, everybody. I'm here for you. Please subscribe if you haven't. And please pass the word about our channel. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.